Dragon Ball is coming back to the big screen, but more importantly, it's bringing along with it a fan-favorite character that has always lived on the outskirts of the series canon, Broly. That's right, the legendary Super Saiyan is back, this time under the full supervision of Akira Toriyama. What does this all mean? Well, let's dive into this trailer and talk about it. Right at the start, we see a Saiyan pod soaring through space, eventually making its way to Earth, which is most likely a flashback of some sort, perhaps showing Goku's initial arrival on Earth. It's definitely not Broly because later on in the trailer, we see Broly and crew arrive on a much larger Frieza Force spaceship. Akira Toriyama, the creator of all things Dragon Ball, is doing the story, screenplay, and character designs for this movie. Broly appeared in 2 prior Dragon Ball Z movies, but by Toriyama's own admission, he had practically no involvement with the anime at the time, so the movies were never part of the canonical storyline. This time, Toriyama's all in, and the movie takes place after the Tournament of Power, which means Broly is now canon. One of the most interesting things about this trailer is the presence of all these Frieza Force characters, made even more interesting by the fact that Broly and his father Paragus are geared up in Frieza Force armor. Frieza, of course, destroyed Planet Vegeta, the Saiyan homeworld, and in the original movie, Broly and Paragus escaped the destruction of the planet thanks to Broly's ability to create a barrier that protected them from the blast. But here we have to assume that Broly and Paragus were able to survive by stealing a Frieza Force spaceship, or somehow falling into the service of Frieza. One thing to note is that Broly and Paragus do arrive on a snowy region of Earth in one of Frieza's iconic spaceships. And if you look closely, it appears like Frieza is walking towards Goku and Vegeta. Once we get our first good close-up view of Broly, we can see that he's got an interesting necklace. The first movie had Paragus in control of Broly due to a mind-controlling crown that eventually broke off. There's a pretty good chance that this is the same deal, especially since later on in the trailer, when Broly's going all out, the necklace is nowhere to be seen. And then we get to the fight card, which includes Goku vs Broly, Vegeta vs Broly, and most intriguingly, Frieza vs Broly, which is a fight that never happened in any of the previous movies and actually has the most interesting story behind it. Remember, Frieza's greatest fear, the reason why he destroyed the Saiyan race, was because of the story of the legendary Super Saiyan, a title that belonged to Broly in the original movies. Another thing to note is the imagery of Saiyan babies in test tubes. In the first movie, Broly developed a hatred for Goku because as babies, their pods were right next to each other and Goku cried all the time. It's not one of the most well-received parts of Broly's backstory, so it will be interesting to see if these shots of babies in tubes is related to that, or if they go in an entirely different direction. And finally, we see several shots of what is very likely Planet Vegeta before its destruction. Like this shot of a child getting sent away in a pod, this explosion which is very likely the impact of Frieza's death ball, and this shot where 2 Saiyans are investigating a crashed pod. Could the one on the right be King Vegeta? There are some obvious questions coming out of this trailer, like how in the hell can a non-Super Saiyan Broly go toe-to-toe with a Super Saiyan Blue Goku? What's the deal with the Frieza Force armor? And where has Broly been hiding all these years? Hopefully we'll get those answers and more when Dragon Ball Super Broly hits theaters in Japan in December and then in America in January 2019. Thanks for watching. If you want to see the full trailer in English, make sure to check that out right here along with the real voice actors for Goku and Vegeta reading angry Yelp reviews. And for everything else Dragon Ball, keep your scouters locked right here on IGN.